I rise today to discuss why I will be voting to acquit President Trump on both articles of impeachment tomorrow afternoon. Our Constitution makes clear that only a particularly grave act, treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors would justify a Senate voting to reverse the will of the people and the voters and remove from office the person they chose to lead this nation. Besides making clear just how serious an offense needs to be in order to warrant impeachment, our founding document allows the president to remain in office unless 2/3 of our body, the Senate, votes for impeachment. That, to me, underscores the need for a national consensus that runs across partisan lines for undoing an election. The Senate has never in our history removed a president from office following an impeachment trial. And our founding fathers recognized that impeachment should not be used as a blunt partisan instrument. President Trump was duly elected by the people of this country President of the United States in 2016. Nothing that I have heard in this process has come close to providing a reason that would justify me voting to overturn the choice made by nearly 500,000 West Virginians and tens of millions of other Americans, and even further, to remove him from the ballot in 2020. There is no doubt that the House impeachment process was partisan, politically driven, and denied President Trump some of his most basic rights of due process. At the same time, the product that was brought to our chamber was obviously flimsy, rushed, and contained incomplete evidence. Time and again, the House managers demanded that we do things here in the Senate that they neglected to do themselves during their House proceedings, such as calling witnesses, which they refused to call the witnesses that they were now asking us to bring forward. Regardless of the failings of the House managers, it is the Senate's job, and indeed our oath, to do impartial justice. In keeping with that oath, I supported a trial process that was modeled after the Senate's precedent in 1999, when it received the approval of 100 senators. I'm glad that we conducted this trial under that process because I felt that it was fair to both sides. Both the managers and the president's attorneys were given 3 full days in the Senate to present their respective cases, and senators spent 2 full days, 16 hours, asking questions and receiving answers from the parties, and actually I found that very instructive. The Senate heard testimony from witnesses in 192 video segments, some of them repetitive, and received more than 28,000 pages of document. The House record, which we received here in the Senate, included the testimony of 17 witnesses. So there were witnesses. The House brought the witness testimony into the Senate. I keenly listened to these presentations with an open mind, and I have concluded that the arguments and evidence do not provide me with a sufficient rationale for reversing the 2016 election and removing President Trump from the ballot in 2020. That is especially true considering the partisan nature of this impeachment process. In the cases of President Nixon and President Clinton, there was significant support from House members of the president's party for opening impeachment inquiries. The impeachment inquiry into President Nixon was supported by more than 400 members of the House, many of those, overwhelming number of those, from his own party. And 31 House Democrats voted to open an impeachment inquiry into their president, the Democrat president, President Clinton. By contrast, in this case, not a single member of the president's party voted in the House of Representatives to start an impeachment inquiry or to adopt either article of impeachment against the president. Many of the president's political opponents want and have wanted for years to have him removed from office, while virtually no one in his own party supports this impeachment. We have a mechanism in this country for dealing with issues that divide along party lines. That mechanism is not impeachment or removal. That mechanism, quite simply, is an election, and we have one in 9 months. So beginning yesterday, we think, and in 9 months, we will have the certainty everyone desires. And in the meantime, I am casting a no vote in this chamber tomorrow. I'm voting no on both of these articles. But you know what? I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to take this opportunity to rededicate myself to the principles that this United States Senate stands for. I'm going to take this opportunity to look at those principles and appreciate that these are the principles that are tied to making America better each and every day, and together we can do this as Republicans and Democrats. During the impeachment process, Republicans approached me West Virginians approached me all the time, regardless of party, to ask why we were spending all of this time on a wasted process. They asked me questions like, why don't you just get on with the business of giving America the confidence that you're working on the things that we care about? This was the butcher in the grocery store asked me this very question. Our families, making our families stronger, our lives better, and our jobs more permanent. When we rid ourselves of the shackles of politics, we can truly work together on issues like transportation, broadband, energy, ending the drug crisis, or strengthening our military. These are the issues that affect all of us. These are the issues that transcend the day-to-day lives of all of the people that we represent. They also transcend the day-to-day sound bites we hear from the constant barrage of both positive and negative media that we are so attuned to. No one has been served by this intense and at times sensationalized and very divisive proceeding. When we rid ourselves of the poisonous venom of partisan politics, we see more clearly. We know that we don't always agree, that's pretty clear, but we can certainly find common ground, and we do, as was envisioned by our founders. So let's all just take a deep breath, move on from here. Let's listen to our better voices. Those are the Americans that we represent, who remind us every day how important our freedom and our futures are to the country and to the constitutional institutions that gird our values. We sure have work to do. The American public expects us to do better. We should expect that of ourselves. And after these wayward few weeks, there is no question we will need to rebuild that confidence. You know what? I'm in this for the long haul, as I know the President of the Senate is. The one where West Virginians and Texans and Americans see better days ahead for them and their children. The ones where West Virginians, Texans, and Americans driving to work each day can hear that Congress is actually doing its job. We were sent to Congress to work for the American people, to deliver results, to renew their faith in our institutions, to rise above our own parties, and to make life better. I've always been humbled by the confidence that has been placed in me by my fellow West Virginians. It is truly an honor to serve, and it's one that comes with great responsibility. We need to roll up our sleeves and stop the bickering and deliver. I'm looking at a lot of young people here in the hall of the Senate, and I'm thinking, we gotta do better for you all. That's where our future lies. So, you know, I'm an eternal optimist, always have been, but I'm optimistic that we can find the solutions that move our country forward. Sure, there are going to be differences of opinion. There'll probably be some harsh and sharp words along the way and differences in our philosophies. But Americans and these young people, they expect that we bridge those gaps. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but I am certainly ready for the challenge, and I hope you will join me.